our daily, there are several ways of meditating and coming out of our daily rigors of life and connecting to our higher energies. But for me, the best that has worked is the Aum chanting, and that's something that I've been practicing for some time, for a couple of years, I would say, and I really think that if we genuinely and sincerely devote time regularly on a daily basis, just the Om chanting by itself can really help us get into our path of spirituality. Now, there could be several questions. What is spirituality? Why go there? But thankfully, this is the group where we are at least past those questions. And there's nothing wrong with other people who haven't arrived yet. Everybody has their own journey. We are our destinies, our journeys are destined with the choices that we have. So there is destiny, but also there's a free will. The will to change course is with us. And I feel spirituality is the path that can make our progress, our growth in life at a much, much, much faster pace, at a much higher rate. And Om chanting within spirituality can help us to have our growth within it. So it's a gift that our culture, that our heritage has given to us, that is unparalleled. I mean, it's something that every human being should experience before they go. And so I would like for all of us to join in doing a couple, like about 4 or 5 chantings of Om. And then I'll do a little bit of guided kind of meditation, and then I'll let you know when to come out of it. So we'll go ahead and get started. For the prerequisite is that we sit with erect back. So our backbone, our neck, our head should be in a straight line. I cannot stress enough how much our backbone is a tool to get to that higher dimension. It's like a receptor, it's like an antenna, and I do not know how it works, but you can, when you start getting into, if you have been meditating for some time, you'll see the first sensation that you get is this. There's some ting, like you could see some changes in your backbone. If you sit right and if you meditate, you could start feeling those. And then the next progression, if that's where you stop, that's not enough. You have to continue with the meditation. Then you'll see there are these, I mean, this is something that I'm saying from my experience. That doesn't mean that we have to believe it. We have to experience it. But I'm just charting what I go through. Then next, what you feel are these sensations, warm sensations on your forehead. I mean, it's amazing what it's doing by just these simple chantings and getting your body in the right geometry. What you'll experience are these neurochemicals in your body are changing. You'll feel these warm sensations rising from your eyes, going into your forehead. So we'll go ahead and get started. We'll make sure we'll sit in a very erect position. We'll make a chin mudra. So we'll make a circle with our 2 fingers, index fingers and thumb, and the rest of the fingers in straight line, and making sure that all 4 fingers are in straight line. And we'll put it on our knees, and we'll begin the Om chanting. We'll slowly rub our hands, and with our palm, we'll put it on our eyes and gently open our eyes. So when we meditate here yet, we can't. But there is a shloka which I'll read here, where in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says it to Arjun, which Sanjaya presents it for us, and he says, Krishna says, the intensity with which you bhaja, with which you get rub, with which you come to me is the intensity with which I will reciprocate and come back to you. So the easiest way of getting close to God is obviously serving those who are in need, because they are the real devotees. It's also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. The real devotees are those who are in need, because they are always thinking about God. They're not lost in the lavishnesses of the world, in the materials of the world, in the ocean of distractions that we have created in this world, or which also is actually a creation or manifestation of what Brahma has created actually. But that's to riddle us, that's to make us get lost, and it's the onus is on us as humans to come out of that ocean and come and connect to him and raise ourselves. But that was just to remind us that really meditation is something that can help us go through the ocean of life in a much easier and effortless manner. But we as humans, we have to take charge of making sure that we put the effort, and that effort cannot be once in a week or once in one. We have to meditate at least just 21 times of Aum chanting every single day. In the morning, if we do, and try to connect to God, things the magic starts happening. I do not know what the science. Obviously, the logical mind wants to hear what the reasons are, what's the science behind, but it works. That's all I can say. So I'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. So essentially, which I very unfortunate I can't share, but so if I can just go back to what we had talked about, the 4 paths of yoga, which can lead us to a spiritual life, like Vivekanand has said, that we can do it either by work, Karma Yog, by worship, Bhakti Yog, by Gyan or knowledge, or Gyan Yog, or the psychic control, which essentially is Raja Yog. We can do either of these and get and be the yogi, experience life at a completely different dimension, where nothing touches us. Like we are fully involved in everything, but nothing makes the steadiness of our life go up and down, like the waves do not come back. There's a steadiness, that a yoga, there's some yukti that comes to us if we do any of these yoga, the karma yoga, jnana yoga, raja yoga, or bhakti yoga. And we talked about the karma yoga in the last session, which I wouldn't go through unless somebody has a question, but we'll go to the bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga has a very special place in my life. I think out of all the 4 yogas, the karma yoga, bhakti yoga, knowledge, jnana yoga, and raja yoga, bhakti yoga is the easiest that will start doing the wonders in us. Fortunately, karma yoga we have been doing ever since we were born. And ever since we became adults, I mean, as a human being, we cannot be alive without doing the karma. So karma yoga is already there in us. But what scriptures brings to us is how to be not entangled in the karma yoga. We can do the karma without getting entangled and disheartened and loaded by the karma yoga. We can do it joyously. That's what our scriptures teaches, how to not to do the karma yoga without the baggage of karma, without the baggage of karma that you'll take to the next lifetime and also go through in this lifetime, which is by, like, if we can quickly go through, by just detaching with the outcomes. Do not attach even before we start, we attach to the results. Oh, it has to be a success. We should give our best, but do not attach to the fruits, to the phalam. We should not. And the next thing God says, which is very beautiful, and I practice it and I make sure my kids practice it, which is, whenever we do something, remember to offer it to God. Remember, like a yagna, like when we do yagna, like a yagna, we should offer our work to God. When you start, while you're doing it, at every minute of our work, we should offer it to God. Because when we offer it to God, then we make sure we give our best. But even if it comes out as a failure, somehow it does not, the entire debacle doesn't look as big. It just, and then there's no loss of energy, there's no loss of enthusiasm to restart it. I mean, when you have offered it to God, then God says, you know what, I don't know how it works, but God really helps us sail through the successes and the failures. He helps us to have the equanimity, so that when I restart or when I do my next project or next work, I still have the same enthusiasm, the same vigor, the same kind of flow of work that I started with at my very early, maybe when I had just started perhaps my career, or when I had just was starting my college, or whatever those starting points are. That's the same vigor that you continue if you just offer your work to Krishna. So that's what our scriptures provides in terms of what it tells us, how to not get entangled while you're doing your bhakti yoga, your karma yoga. Next, what I was going to talk about today mostly was bhakti yoga. And bhakti yoga,
Prerna, before we move to Bhakti Yoga, you have touched upon the Karma Yoga, and I have maybe a silly question, but it's quite pertinent. And you mentioned about doing service and unselfish service. Now, as a practical man, this thought comes to my mind is that, well, I do have a habit of helping others, but if I sense that someone is taking an undue advantage of me, then what will be my response?
very good question. And my brother, who's still in the path of getting situated with his career, he asks me that the same question, and I feel that us as seekers, we had a journey, Rajat, like we had a journey to reach this point. We started at a point where we were conditioned by the world to be protective. We were conditioned by the world to not share because I had to be the first in the class. I had to be the first by making everybody else second, third, fourth, fifth, and whatever, right? For me to be the top, I had to make sure everybody stays down below. So I was protective. And there's no, I'm not saying don't, I mean, but the mindset was wrong, which is what is missing in our upbringing, in our culture, like, which is missing, which has tons of reasons why it's not there. I mean, we have been invaded by thousands, like there was a time when we weren't like this. And it's also about times, right? In Treta Yuga, we know how it was in Dwapar Yuga when Ramji was there. There was one demon, Then comes the Treta, where we see in Mahabharata how, like in Treta itself, we start seeing how these evil thoughts and downtrodden others kind of comes in. And this is Kali Yuga. Come on, this is like 95% of the people are supposed to be like Duryodhans. Okay, so okay, it's like that's how we have been conditioned. The world is like that, but we are in a journey and we have reached a point where we can see that everybody is in their journey. I am going to give my best. So if I reach to the top, it's because of the efforts. It's not because I try to hide, protect, because every time we are trying to hide, we're trying to protect, we're trying to manipulate. Remember, the creativity, the divinity is you are becoming in the path of all of it. You will never like blossom. And it's not about blossoming. I mean, okay, I can understand. I mean, we live in the practical world, the word practical. Okay, but so help those who are seeking help, knowing that they are devious, but also remember, Rajat, the way we are can change the person who are perceiving us. Okay, our behaviors change our conditions around us. It might be slow. You cannot right away change person who have grown up like that, who has been in that mindset. And it's not about changing. I would just stay as I am, and whoever is. So I say to my brother that you don't have to go. He was asking me that, Paldi, there's this entrance exam which I just gave, and he got into interview, and he was saying that a friend of mine is coming in, and this friend is shady person, but he was seeking for help as to what kind of questions come in the entrance written exam. So I said, you know what, Russian, you should help him. Go help him. Do not give him like, this is the question. But from your mind, what questions were there? Tell him, help him. And then it's his fate. It's his effort that he'll put, but do not change. If we start changing based on what comes right in front of us, then we will never be able to become what we started for, right? We will never be able to become. So I would say that we know the world is devious. We know everybody, but what we seek is God. Help everybody get to this journey. Help everybody in their journey and see the beauty that's on the other side, right?
Right.
I'm not gonna come in my own path because my consciousness should not let me live by being a cheater, by being a protector, because really that's yeah. So I would just help, but then I also remember that people change. Maybe it'll be very slow. It's everybody's karma. We change, and I'll not set to change people, but I'll be what I am, because I don't want to come in the path of my own growth. So I'll be the way I am. That's all.
राइट और दूसरा यही जब मैं आपको सुन रहा था तो मुझे कुछ और भी याद आया और हमारे हिंदू फिलॉसफी में अद्वैत और द्वैत एक ये दो स्कूल ऑफ थॉट्स हैं और हम ये भी कहते हैं कि there is a pool of consciousness. So although we are in different bodies, but eventually we are all one. Like so there is a oneness between you, me, or anyone else. And if we believe in that, if we believe in that oneness, perhaps uh, uh, and this is again, I'm joining from somebody's thought. What he said is that जो हम दूसरों को देते हैं वो अपने आप को देते हैं. So when I contemplate on this thought, I think that when we are helping others, although we are now seeing this person as a second person, or someone else from us, but actually if I contemplate on the first thought, that if I treat that person as me, perhaps I think that will help me a lot, and I will get away from this whole thing of whether he's taking a benefit of me or not. So I think yeah, this will help.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Actually, Rajat, in koi bhi actually Advait ho, I mean, there's any duality, non-dualism, any path you have. I mean, there are these branches, but actually, if you see the core idea of all of this is one, which is that there is this yoga, there's unity, there's oneness.
Mhm.
I mean, we are parts of one consciousness. We are parts of one God. And this is, even if you hear anybody, like, I'll keep quoting Sadhguru because that's who's my guru. But he, like anybody, like even the gurus or the God, they all tell us that about the oneness, that we all are one, like really. And this is actually, I mean, and this is, we might think, ki kya hai? This is like very, very abstract idea. But if we start, I mean, if you start thinking, actually, it makes our journey to spirituality so much easy. क्योंकि ये ना जितनी छोटी छोटी poisons हैं, छोटी छोटी distractions हैं दिमाग में, सब हट जाता है. The cloud kind of clears the way by just this simple thought that that we are all one. Somebody is behaving, it's abstract लगता है, but somebody in the room, we might be physically, हमारी bodies are different, but you and somebody else in that room and somebody else on this earth, we are all breathing the same air. The trees that are exhaling out and inhaling the carbon dioxide and exhaling out the oxygen, they are not discriminating. There's not individual bubbles that we have. We are all connected. Like you sit in a hall with 1,000 and 10,000 people, we might think, oh, but we are all inhaling, exhaling the same air. The earth is telling, the nature is telling us that, we are all one. हम अपने इस युग में है कि we have become, because we haven't yet come out of our bodily, जो हमारे बोलते हैं ना, body, the mind, which is still part of body, we haven't evolved out of the body का the most dominant जो properties है ना, उसी में है. We haven't come to the subtle thoughts, to the subtleness. इतना जल्दी नहीं आता है ना. It's not like the physical tangible thing, right? So उसके लिए there's a journey. There has to be, there has to be a conviction. There has to be, anyways.
इस वननेस से एक और भी एडवांटेज है, और वो ये है कि फिर वो जो कंपटीशन है वो अपने आप एलिमिनेट हो जाता है. Like if someone is getting something, I am getting that. Are you getting a point? Like if I can connect with that,
absolutely. देखो क्या होता है ना कि because somebody is getting